From the deep, dark reaches of Star Trek Online comes Nikitas, Tabbytha, and Grebog with another episode of Fleet Action Report.
Hello, and welcome to Fleet Action Report, the show where we don't just play the game, but we teach you how to play the game. I am Tabbytha, and that there is Grebog.
Greetings. This is episode 176, Engineered for Success. If you'd like to support us financially, you can go to coffee.com/Grebog. That is ko-fi.com/GREBOG. Or just being here, listening to our glorious voices and chatting or lurking, either way, is support is enough.
We love our lurkers.
All right. Well, Abby, how's your week been and what have you been up to?
My week has been very busy. Very, very, very busy. Especially like my Thursdays. My Thursdays have lately are usually like from noon to 5, and then from 6 to 7 or 8 is literally all meetings for like maybe 5 to 10 minutes here and there. So my meetings are my Thursdays are pretty bonkers, or pretty silly. And especially this week, catching up from my vacation last week, had a lot going on, but it's good. It's all good. I'm barely going to make the event here in a few days. I'm barely going to complete my event for the feast because like missing out on a week because of travel, like I literally cannot miss any more days.
Good that you'll be able to complete. I'm doing all right. Unfortunately, I had some sad news this week, but outside of that, doing my regular stuff, raiding in WoW, and doing STO stuff and things. What else have I there was something I was working on, and I can't now think about what it was. That's the way my brain has been this week. Like I talked about it in your Discord, how like there was something I wanted to check, and I'm like in the middle of something, like, okay, I'll finish this and then I'll go check right after this, and then I finished what I was doing, and then I am like, I can't remember what it was I wanted to check.
Hello,
I'm like,
neurodivergence.
and then I'm like, well, I'll do something else, and start middle of something else, remembered, oh right, I wanted to go check, I'll do that after I finish this. Yeah, I kept doing that. Eventually, I remembered what it was. Nothing super important. It was just... So, I have friends that they're like, hey, we know you're not a big football person, but we need another person in our fantasy football league. And I'm like, sure, why not? And my first season in, I opted to... I'm going to crunch numbers and look at stats and get all... I stomped them.
Oh my god.
I have no clue what happened, like player wise, but I schooled them. And then I'm like, I didn't want to have to worry about mailing. They mail a trophy around. Most of them live close enough they can hand it off, but yeah. I'm like, I don't want to have to worry about mailing a trophy around. So now I've opted for a new challenge in the fantasy football league. It's called, how many points can I get without being first? So you can win matches, like they pit you up against someone, and wins matter more than your points. So I normally try to make it so I don't have the win-lose record. Which the win-lose for a week is decided on your points versus their points. So there are some weeks that I may not try to win so hard. And then other weeks I try to like just get as many points as I can to push my point count up. So it's my new metagame.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
I last year doing this, I ended up with almost as many points as the person that was in first place, and I finished like fifth.
I mean, like just the visualization of that, like going into a bunch of subject matter experts, whooping, like cleaning their clocks and going, did I win? Did I win at the sports thing?
Like I understand football. I could probably, it's just I don't follow it. It's not my NFL is not my cup of tea. So yeah, but anyway, let's get into this week in STO. Here, I'll take the first two, and then you can go into the ship details.
Oh, wow.
Since the first one's very short. The feast is still going. Yes, as Tabby pointed out, you're down to 6 days, 16 hours, 51 minutes. So not a lot of time for those that are. If you're starting now, you're not gonna have enough time to get all your completions in. You could get halfway in and get the buyout to super cheap, but otherwise, you know, if you've gotten more than halfway through, you should be able to finish. You have until December 7th. You only need the 14 completions, and then you'll get the trifluoride Maelstrom torpedo launcher. It's supposed to be, the number crunchers already have it, and they've already said it's not as potent as the original Maelstrom torpedo, but it is very close. I kind of get the picture that it's like maybe, I don't know, 8% lower or something to that effect in damage. So it's really it's up there for if you didn't get the ship that had the other Maelstrom torpedo, you now have a free one that will be just nearly as good. So, and then talking about events, they announced Q's Winter Wonderland. That will be from December 5th to January 4th. You have that, we're going to do a month-long thing. Normally in month-long things, they didn't tell us how many completions. I think it's normally like 20 or 24, somewhere in there. Completions to be able to get the event ship. They did announce the ship, which Tabby will go through in a second, which is the Temerian Deep Space Cruiser. They're also adding a few other items. The Frozen Batleth of Dishonor, Universal Kit Module Exothermic Redirection, and then they even have a Science Training Module Exothermic Redirection. The TLDR on that is essentially the kit module and the Science Training Module. You pull heat from one enemy, which will freeze them, and then you dump the heat you pulled from the one into another, and they ignite and on fire.
That is awesome.
It could be quite fun. I will be wanting to test that one out. And then they're adding in a bunch of cosmetics like they do every year. So there's going to be a Starfleet beanie flipped. I'm not sure what that makes. I guess the seams are on the outside. I don't know. But then there's
Well,
yes.
no, it's probably like the rim is like flipped up instead of pulled completely down. So like remember the episode of Strange New Worlds where Spock is trying to hide that he has no ears?
Yes.
He was wearing that beanie that has like the bottom flipped up so it has the Starfleet logo.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what they mean.
That's probably what it is. Then there's the Q robe ugly sweater. They had a picture with this. It's an ugly sweater that it looks kind of like Q's robe. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then Temerian ugly sweater, Temerian doll ugly sweater, and a Mokai tunic. In the blog post, they made a joke about how'd that get in there. It is a leather tunic. It is the Mokai. Yeah, it's just a standard leather Mokai tunic, shoulder pads and all. So, at least they're adding it in. I don't know that it doesn't seem to fit with the holiday, but it's fine. More cosmetics are better than none.
Yep. Oh, give me all the cosmetics. All right. The Temerian Deep Space Cruiser is going to be the new winter event ship. This one is going to be of course, any faction. It's set up like a full cruiser with all 4 of the aura abilities. Ship stats wise, hull 1.4, shield 1.2, it's a 5-3 weapons layout. Seating, lieutenant commander, lieutenant commander tactical, commander engineering, lieutenant science intel, ensign universal, lieutenant commander universal, command. And then all of the abilities that it has, from the traits to like the mastery abilities, and like the aura abilities as a cruiser are inspired by Temerian themed. Kind of like when we had the Hesperian, all of this stuff had that kind of the RP Hesperian flavor. Well, like the command aura for strategic maneuvering is called Mirab with sails unfurled. Or weapon system efficiency is Besminti, his secrets kept close. So I think that's another wonderful touch that they've got put in there, and I enjoy it.
I like it when they do this stuff.
Absolutely. The console and starship trait. The console is going to be the universal polarity coil generator. Used for defensive purposes and neutralizing enemy shields. So the actual stats on this one. So apparently it's about blocking transporters and communication while allowing sensor readings to get through. So I'll be interested to see the in-game's effects of that one. Also has a passive ability which deals a large amount of additional kinetic damage when firing upon a ship affected by the shield's offline status. Given how useless shields are and that they're always down, this is really interesting. Dealing a large amount of additional kinetic damage when you're hitting a ship with no shields.
This might be very useful in a torpedo boat.
And the starship trait, Darmok and Jalad. Your first hit against a unshielded quadrant. Your first weapon hit against an unshielded quadrant on a foe will allow you to beam their commanding officer away from their bridge, like the show, resulting in momentary confusion and a long-lasting debuff to their outgoing damage. Your ship will in turn reap the benefits of being prepared for this tactic, gaining an instant reduction to all captain ability cooldowns. And this may only trigger once per enemy ship.
All right. That's I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what people come up for uses for all of this. To me, the console says a lot to like speaks to torpedo boats, but I could be wrong in that thought. You know.
Yeah, because they're like this definitely seems torpedo focused, especially the passive damage to torpedo, passive damage to kinetic damage. That's going to be torpedoes. Yeah. Or like a lot of science abilities deal kinetic damage, right?
Yeah. Oh, I know.
So if it counts EPG abilities as firing upon, right? Then like hitting hitting like a gravity well or something else that does like a massive kinetic punch, or gravity, something that does like a massive kinetic punch when your enemy's shields go down with this console equipped. I feel like that's gonna be significant.
It will like it also like because just because we're thinking this way, it will make I would love to see what other people will come up with for it. Because just because we you know, sure there will probably be plenty of torpedo platforms that will do this, but yeah.
Of course, you know what is also kinetic damage? Ramming speed. Shields are down. Let's use this buff on ramming speed.
Um. Yeah. I mean, I don't normally use ramming speed because you know.
Well, I'm being yeah, I'm being a smart ass.
Well, think about if you hit an enemy that has a warp core breach next to it. Is there some kinetic in a warp core breach?
Ooh.
I don't know.
I don't think that counts as a weapon attack though. Like it's because it says under weapons fire or
Ah,
whatever that language is. I am on my way to Nimbus as fast as possible. I'm level 45, so I don't have transwarp yet.
apparently I went too far.
Actually, what is the Nimbus mission that it's gonna let me like
Um,
wasteland?
Wastelands. I was just thinking a place that we could go that we could just freely drop abilities and show off some of the stuff. All right, so that's the news. The primary target tonight is an engineering ground build. Hence running to Nimbus 3. I would have thought about it sooner. You know,
Tabby could have gotten her slow ship over there.
it might be a good place no matter what. Just to always come to Nimbus 3 for ground builds.
Yeah.
Because then no matter which faction we're on, we can come here. No matter, yeah. So first thing you're gonna need is an engineering captain.
Wait, so we can't do this engineering build on a science captain? What kind of nonsense is that? I want my
uh,
money back.
talk to Cryptic. Here, I'm going to grab a link to share to anyone that wants to follow along. I know it's a lengthy one, but that way people can check out the build as we go. The link will also be in the show notes. So, yeah. Now, I didn't put in here specializations, partly because, not that they don't matter, but
You're just usually focused on those for check.
yeah, I normally set my specializations for my space combat and stuff, and I never change them for anything else. I mean, I'll change it based on the build of my ship, not my ground. And that's just the way, yeah. But
And I honestly don't think it makes too much of a difference anyway
No.
between one and the other.
In my, I mean, you'll get benefits out of various ones. Like right now, I'm on intelligence officer and strategist, and these aren't the strategist isn't a bad one. Well, I guess it is a bad one for ground because there are no ground powers for it as a secondary. Commando typically is a common one for people to use for ground as a secondary. Intel has a bunch of stuff for ground, flank protection and flank refraction, stuff like that, you know, which is not that's why I'm like they're not bad. I know a lot of people like temporal operative for ground. Yeah.
Oh, for future reference, Partisans is a good transport mission for Nimbus.
Cool. So for kit modules, I always go with having a quantum mortar launcher. If you've ever had a bad guy get stuck in a wall, behind a wall, anything, you'll understand why quantum mortar launcher is key. Because it can fire and shoot anywhere. You place it down, you set it and forget it.
And another great thing about the quantum mortar launcher is you can, like, if you're you can drop it behind a piece of terrain that will protect it.
Yeah. I've been known to stick it behind a like, okay, if you're running a mission and you're in a hallway, I've been known to place it in the hallway, just outside the door, and then run inside. It will still shoot everything on the inside just fine.
Yep.
Another one I love is my Anchor of Grethor. So the quantum mortar launcher is a easy one to pick up. You can buy it. It's a standard. Buy it, craft it. Yeah. The Anchor of Grethor comes from the Winter Event store. It is a very handy thing. Let's see here. Let me go out here. You got some Duins, scorpions.
Duins.
So if you come out here, I'll hit this one, and it puts a fire patch down and chains them all together. And without having to do much, it killed all of them. So, I mean, it is a pretty potent ability. Plus, it keeps the enemy from running away from where the quantum mortars are landing. So it has a side benefit there. Now, the next ones kind of go together into a little set. We have the Chronoton Mine Barrier, which it's just the mines. It's everyone's mines look a little different. So if you look miner, the little red things, that's kind of the standard KDF. Federation has ones that kind of remind me a lot more of what people think of as for mines. But this is a great, if you know if something's going to spawn in a specific spot. Like, hey, we know that the scorpids spawn right up here. We can literally just go, here, scorpids, have a surprise when you spawn in. I know, dick move, right?
And a lot of time,
Operation Wolf. Like,
yep,
they come out those doors. Yeah, I love setting them up right when they run forward right into the mines and blow up
and die.
Yep. Another good one with this is the explosive drone. It essentially will run around. It flies around, and here, let me summon one. Little sphere. Kind of reminds me of the sphere from Star Wars that they practice lightsaber training with. But it runs around, shoots enemies, and once it has a target, it will get closer and closer to the enemy and then blow up. So, and there you saw the explosion. Does a nice AoE damage. And now combine that together with what most people call the suck box, which is the universal kit module gravity containment unit, which comes from the Disco rep. I think I have to have something targeted and close enough to use it. But essentially, it does some physical damage and pulls the enemy to you. And so if you have your mine barriers down, your mines down, you pull your enemy into the mines, and then they blow up. So
and you drop an anchor Grethor to keep him from going anywhere while you lay more mines.
Yeah. Oh, they died way too fast. But the explosive drone does, I believe, come from a kit module from a lockbox. So you have to buy that off the exchange. Let me see. Let me double check this. I have it in the notes. Yeah, it comes from... Now, if I remember correctly, it was one of the two things in this build. You had to be an engineer to be able to even see it on the exchange. I have money on one of my science captain, more money on him. And when he was looking for it to pass over to this guy, it didn't show up in the exchange. I couldn't find it. I was like, what's going on here? I then hopped on my engineer and hey, there it magically is. Yeah. So just note that if you're trying to buy it, you have to be an engineer to be able to see it on the exchange or out of the lockbox choices, I think. Or, yeah. And the final one kind of fits with sort of a fabrication engineer style is the Watcher robots. Now, these things are potent and fun. I think they become even more potent with the traits that I picked out, because they are, I'm pretty sure, considered fabrication units, and they have, these only have here 500 health.
Drones, so.
But when I was running a mission, they had over 1,000 health. And running around, I'm like, oh, this is nuts. They have more health than I do. Yeah, they're a group called Drones, so. So that's the kit modules. The kit frame, I went with the standard Ryzian kit. I mean, it's one of the few that you can get the K-perf all the way up there. So, yeah. And since you're using a lot of fabrication stuff, like your robots, the drones, and such, having them, the K-perf helps beef them up even more. If you don't know, the Ryzian kit comes from the summer event store. Now make sure you get the Ryzian kit and not there's another one that's very similar named, but that one is like the Volcanology or something to that effect. And then for the body armor and EV suit, I went with Burnham's CQC armor and the EV suit. That gives you a 2-piece, which is very nice. The 2-piece is 25 physical damage resistance rating for 15 seconds to your foes that you expose. Now, this helps if you have a weapon that exposes. My weapon doesn't expose, it just kills. But if you have a weapon that exposes, though, there are other ways to get exposed. So, yeah. Now, I went different for the shields. I went with the new one, the Adaptation Personal Shield Mark. I got it up to Mark 15, so, and I already golded it out. I find it works quite well. And I would put it's probably not quite as good as the Not Cool shield, but I would say it's probably close because I don't die as much as I used to. Um, and he didn't have the Not Cool shield at first, so um, actually maybe he did have the Not Cool shield, and I passed it off to somebody else. Maybe, I don't know, but yeah. um, The reason I like the shield is when you are hit by energy damage, it adapts and you get a 5% shield resistance for 30 seconds every time you are hit. It can stack up to 10 times. So that can be a 50% shield resistance rating. That's pretty potent. And it also has a decent regenerative shield capacity. And in this build, I put weapon of choice, both for your weapon 1 and weapon 2. So if you have a weapon that you prefer, if it completes a set bonus, then you could easily do that. I think Nicodus was talking about, instead of using the CQC armor, using the Not Cool armor and having the secondary weapon, still having the Not Cool weapon as secondary, so that way he gets the 2-piece from that. Because the 2-piece is still nice. I just opted a different path and not using it.
And like not going through that mission twice.
Exactly. If I can prevent going through that mission, I will. Okay, now we have the devices. I went with a paradox corrector. This is the Delta Recruit reward. So once you do enough stuff in the Delta Recruit, you can get this for all your captains. It's kind of nice. It restores 50% of your max hit points to the team when you use it, and it can resurrect defeated allies and can be used while you're defeated. So it can get you, it's basically a, hey, get me back up. Or hey, get me some health, and get my team some health. I then put a pet of choice in here. I obviously am using the bioengineered Furiodon because Jasper's fun. I like Jasper. And this is now from the Mud Store. It was an event reclaim, but for others, there's Targs, there's all kinds of combat pets that you can get and use. The Alachi Walker, but
Dave the synth android.
Yeah.
Or is he Harvey?
It depends on which one you have. They're not all the same. Just because they're all A600s.
This one says B5.
Oh. Brandon?
Yeah, well, or Bob.
Bruce? For a tribble, normally I say yes, have a tribble. There are all kinds of tribbles out there. If you don't, you can get the gambling device. The gambling device is kind of a tribble. It works. It takes the place of tribble buffs. A lot of people like it because of the crit chance severity that it gives in the dodge when you win. And that one comes from the Lobi store. I believe it was 50 Lobi when it's not on sale. And then I run with the Pavan Healing Crystal. Another great way to get some extra health if you're taking hits. And then a 25% chance activates. That comes down to my duty officers, that it will activate something else. So, but it's good to, if you The drawback to equipping to all of your team, getting one for everyone, is you have to run that mission 5 times. And the mission being, let's see, the Jewel Arc, Illusion of Communication. It's not a hard mission to do, fortunately. It just takes time.
So you could get a bunch of your friends together, and like we did it the other night, and it goes really quick with 2-3 people.
Yeah.
But still running it 5 times.
A lot of people love the flare as the new meta. That's because it gives you 45% dodge chance when you use it. It's a little, to me, silly if you just place a flare on the ground.
Huh.
You know, in the sunny desert here, we need a flare. Now, if you don't have the flare or don't want to run the mission for the flare, because the flare comes out of the Gamma Quadrant Tenebrous Torquint mission. And if you don't want to get it or don't want to use it, I would say just grab a second pet and you have another pet. Now, for alternative kit modules, I put in here some people really love the Sandstorm Generator because it does a huge debuff. I don't have it. It's super slow on its start to like fire. Like you put it down and then it takes a while before it like charges up and then triggers. I didn't like it. It's too slow to me.
Plus the people who use the Sandstorm Generator are Darude.
I mean, we don't want too many dunes around.
No, Darude as in it's a obscure joke. 2 of you will get it.
Another one, obviously, everyone loves the ball lightning. I specifically chose not to use ball lightning in this build. Yes, I use it in other builds. It is, yes, a very great kit module. It is not. I just wanted to I wanted a more ground fabrication style engineer build. I didn't want something that went all into the sciencey silliness. Though another one that does kind of fit, in my opinion, kind of to an engineer is the Bubble Obelisk network. And my only drawback to it, besides it being from a lockbox, is that you have to place them down. You have to run around, drop them to build your network up. It's great if you're holding a certain point for a little while. But outside of that, I don't know. They are powerful. They're nice. It's just, I think that there's better options, or I prefer other options. Plus, then you don't have to.
If you're going for like entrenchment, then like the Bubble Obelisk, then you're looking at a turret, and like there's if you're going for entrenchment, there's other modules that you can pick as well.
Yeah. Well,
and you know one of my favorite kit frames is the board combat
Yeah. Now, sure, there are all kinds of other turrets and generators and such that you could use as an engineer. I opted away from them because so many times I used to use them all the time. So many times in missions, I put them down. All I am doing is putting down generators and turrets, and by the time I get them all put down, my crew has killed the enemy, and we're moving on, and now they're all behind us and worthless.
Yep.
I kind of chose a more mobile setup because, yeah, you're running from place to place. whether you're doing TFO, ground TFOs, or missions. Let's get to traits. I went with upgraded gear. It's a great for kit performance boost when you defeat foes. Being fabrication, a lot of fabrication stuff. I took nanomolecular architect, which basically all the stuff that you put down, they get plus all resistance and regeneration. So I don't know that I've watched my Watcher robots despawn. I don't know that I've ever seen them get killed. So, and same with the quantum mortar launcher. If you're dropping a lot of robots, drones, and turrets, this is a key trait.
Absolutely.
Technophile, always a good one because it boosts your kit module, and kit performance. Basically, every time you use a kit module, you get plus 100 per kit performance for a short duration. So it boosts the next kit that you're using. Now, this one I think is an engineering must. I feel that Cryptic dropped the ball on the orbital strike ability for engineers, because it is completely worthless most of the time, but without this trait, because your enemies will run away, run out of the shit, and then they'll be out of the area before you can even hit them with the orbital devastation. It's just
like as soon as you start casting it, they'll move, and you'll be like, well, shoot.
Yeah, and so orbital devastation turns your orbital strike into a chasing beam, and so it will chase your foes down. Whoever you had targeted when you hit this ability, it will chase them down and hit them. It also means it will make it last a little bit longer as well.
What happens if the one that it's chasing dies?
It goes to the next enemy.
Cool.
Yeah, it goes to the next enemy. Another good trait for ground is field technician, more kit readiness. Lucky is a good one, and that is because critical hit and exposed chance. Now, I don't have the next one, which is creative, because apparently Ferocins cannot be creative. It
That's
is
weird.
Yeah, but creative is a great trait. I mean, I use it on every other captain that's not Ferocin. And because we have a support drone as default for a engineer, this assault drone fabrication boosts your default support drone, and it gains a wide beam secondary fire ability. Basically, yeah, it says it adds additional combat subroutine, so it makes your assault, well, yeah, it turns your support drone into a beefier support drone. I went Serenity next. This is another one. It gives you more health regen and more kit performance. And then the kind of everyone meta type thing is the Hive Mind, because 2% bonus all damage per teammate in 20 meters. So running TFOs, if you and others have it, it does stack. You can get up to a 10% bonus damage if everyone has it. Now that you can upgrade your bridge officers, you can also get this for them. And when you're on away missions, they too can give you that plus 2%. Hive Mind is one of the traits that you can train to your bridge officers. Oh,
That is a nice stacking combo. So that's more like 10% total.
yeah. Um, Now, if you are not a, let's see, which one was it? I think it was, you're not a big fan of Serenity, there is another option that's free that I would recommend, and that would be Peak Health. And that, let's see, where Peak Health. It gives you basically bonus hit points, 10% maximum hit points. And it does give you also toxic damage resistance, but I mean, it will boost your hit points more, getting you even higher. Another option, if you don't like some of these, like instead of a upgraded gear, maybe if you don't have it, you could go with Soldier, which, do I have that ability on this captain? I do not see it. I can't be a soldier either.
Huh. What are you even doing in the KDF?
Uh, Pouncing on people. I do have the pounce ability.
Well, that is not entirely unuseful in the Klingon rank structure.
All right, for round, I have Deadly Aim, which is a common standard 20% crit severity. Um, Energized Nanites. This one gives you more, yeah, heals health when dealing damage. Way of kind of help boosting up your health while you're fighting. I have Magnified Armaments, another good one. All around, it gives you 6.3% bonus damage once you get it to rank 2, which is getting what, the Iconian rep to tier 6.
I think so.
And then I have Lethality, which is another common meta type, gives you more critical hit chance. I If you have a sixth one, or in place of one of those, another good one is miniaturized chrono capacitor, because this reduces kit module recharge times. Um, and it's a pretty good one to have for ground. I don't know if I would replace. I don't know. That'll come down to your personal preference. Um, we still need to unlock the Fleet Research Lab to the point that we can buy more trait slots. So, but that's why I have a bunch of locked out ones. We'll get there. For active, I took Medical Nanites. It's a nice AOE heal, and it removes expose and Borg assimilation. So if you get assimilated fighting Borg, you could hit this and get unassimilated. Obviously, one little ship is a powerful little, Danube runabout, shoots things. Concussive tachyon emission, another great one. It's a heavy shield damage that it does an AoE out from you. And then you have the piezo electric perimeter snare. Creates a. Can I put it down now? Or do I have to have something targeted? Or did it not even put it on my bars? I don't see it on my bars. There we go. I have to have something targeted, it looks like. So that's what that is. That's the snare. But it does a lot of electrical damage, roots them. Uh, yeah, slows them down. Now for duty officers. I kind of went with the standard with 2 assault squad officers, once for chance to increase crit severity stacking on doing energy damage, and 1 doing stacking crit chance while doing energy damage. I then also chose a fabrication engineer because, fabrication engineer. Chance to beam in an additional support drone when you summon a support drone. Oh, didn't get it this time. But, it kind of gives you more support drones. I went with the standard EMH Mark 1. I say standard because a lot of people, it's useful. And when we looked at the Pavin Healing Crystal, you could see that the ability that he would, a chance to activate an EMH Mark 1 when using the hypo. The Pavin Healing Crystal works as such. If you give this to if you had a Pavin Healing Crystal on all of your bridge officers, when you're on doing ground missions and such, every time they use it can spawn an EMH Mark 1. So you could have an army of EMH Mark 1s.
Oh, that is amazing.
And then I grabbed the Exocomp Legume Creole. That basically is, chance for flank attacks to deploy an Exocomp. So if you ever, you should always be trying to flank your enemies. Because you'll do more damage that way. And when you do flank them, you'll now get Exocomps that will spawn in to help you fight. Now, the last one a lot of people like it. I don't know if I would say I'm not against it. I just don't know if it's the best one. And if you have the ability, it's a biochemist, and it basically recharge time reduced on all stems, shield charges, power cells. Yeah. Now, I don't know if that affects the Pavin Healing Crystal because it doesn't say a hypo. But I know there are a lot of people that like to use
the Pavin Healing Crystal, does count as a hypo, so maybe I'm thinking so.
But there are people that like to use the battery type things that do boost your kit performance. So that's why they opt for the biochemist. I think that is everything. I still love the Chains of Grethor. Chains of Grethor is great in the Fall of the Old Ones because when you get a skeleton that is in the light circles, you can basically drop it on that skeleton and it will pull other skeletons into the circle of light with it. And they will then take massive amounts of damage from the fire. And yeah, it's helpful. It's I enjoy this build. It's fairly easy to run.
Oh, there's a giant scorpion up.
I chained him. Here. Chase it. Chase it. Oh. Apparently, yeah, see, it just goes to the next enemies, which were other scorpions that were nearby.
Love it. Love it.
You don't even have to target anything. It will just start chasing whatever.
I can see that going terribly wrong, though.
I think they have to be in combat first.
Oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. But I just have flashbacks to World of Warcraft and things like that that are supposed to work one way, but then end up pulling like the entire dungeon.
Yeah. Death Knights with their here I'm going to spread my disease and it goes through floors.
Yeah.
For those that know the prison that was in Battle for Azeroth, that
Oh
you
my
used
god.
you used to be able to pull floors above and below you. So if you didn't clear everything on the floor below you, yeah, it can easily pull all of it. But I any comments, questions? Did you have any
Questions,
comments or
comments,
questions, Tabby,
concerns?
when you were going through the build?
Nope. Yeah, I was only able to put part of it together because this character is only level 45, but the stuff that I was able to put on it, it it handles really well. I really like this build. You did good.
This is well, it's based off of my original ground build, engineering ground build. I tweaked it quite a bit, my original to this, and yeah, that's why like I would run missions. I'm like, yeah, I don't know why people are struggle with missions. I don't have a problem because, like I said, when I first started, I had the health generator, I had the shield generator, I had a turret, I had like a phaser turret, I had a quantum mortar launch, I had all of that stuff, and I just got so tired of, oh hey, we're already moving on.
Yep.
And so yeah. So that I started swapping things out. I'm like, well, I don't need this. I don't need that. The range on this phaser cannon is insane. Does it tell me how far it shoots?
I, I don't think so. I've usually had to go to the wiki for weapon ranges.
Huh. Yeah. I just like it seems to have an insane range on it. I'm not complaining. It just, yeah. All right. Do we want to run the daily ground TFO?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. Bug hunt. Here we come. Well, that was fast.
Kill
Weeboo?
them bugs.
Did you get the weeboo?
We will, yes.
Did it only bring down my bridge officers?
Yeah, because
Huh.
I arrived so far after you.
I'm just used to more of a even split.
Like if we had been down together, then it would have popped up the window. But I just figured because you were already beamed down and established, they said no, only no bridge officers for you.
I didn't cover my bridge officers. I went with what I think the standard Ice Princess build, um, having a tactical with a frictionless grenade particle, the frictionless particle grenade 3 and all that. Same with having a command engineer, command science, and then another intel science. Though I have Marshall Janeway and Dr. Crusher as my 2 science. I have Worf as my tactical. Ambassador Worf, to be exact. I don't know that there's another wharf in the game or not.
Oh, I got distracted.
So, like, here, I'm gonna hide a quantum mortar back here, and then move forward.
Yeah, never be near your mortar.
And the reason to move away from your mortar, or any turrets that you have, is because if you get hit with an AoE, then it will hit your mortar, and it will take damage. This just reduces, like, yeah, sure, we have some traits that will help with all that, but you can reduce the damage of your on your turrets and such. Why not? You know. Heal me, Crystal. Heal me.
Fire in the hole! Clear to proceed.
If you don't know how to do this TFO, it's not hard. It's basically run, kill, run, kill, run, kill.
Another advantage of this build that doesn't rely so much on the structures is you don't have to wonder. It's like, do I still have one of those structures up? Am I about to override it?
Yeah.
Am I wasting a cooldown, like a global cooldown? Because like structures have like what 2-3 second activation time.
Yeah, it takes a while. That's why I'm not a huge fan of, you know, having too many of the different generators, turrets. It's great if you're holding a specific point. It's not so great when you're on a mission or TFO like this where you're just running around.
According to our scans, there's a tunnel.
Okay, we look to be done on this floor. I like to drop my quantum mortar up here before we drop down.
Watch that first step.
And yes, it will be hitting things down here.
Because that's how mortars work.
A green cave.
I think I can get us across. Cover me.
I once ran with Nicodemus, and somebody else, and they were on their engineer too. And we both got to like the end of a mission where there was supposed to be this big boss, and Nikitas was like used to it. But oh, this boss is pretty rough, and I got to be careful here. And because we both engineers did the orbital strike,
Oh, nice.
the yeah, wasn't so much a boss. He's just like, well, that was easier than I expected. I'm like, engineers, yeah, engineers
Was that
are
you and me, Nikitas?
maybe.
I kind of remember that.
I
Now that you
just
mention it.
yeah.
This is it, the center of the hive. And where will
All right, run up here. I'm gonna drop my quantum mortar on the ledge before we drop down. Hopefully, it let me put it down while the cutscene's still going.
That would be nice. That way you can get that activation time going.
All right, it is down. Hey, Mama. Have some mines. Have a orbital devastation too.
How is this thing not dead?
Um, not everyone's geared as well as others. I was questioning its survivability too.
Because like we both hit it with orbital lasers.
I think some people were focusing on the shelves. Not that that's a problem. All right. And that's all we really have time for. Next week, what we don't have a clue what we're doing next week, do we?
No, we don't.
I'm sure it will be something profound and exciting. I do know we have a ship build that you want to do, which we normally need 2 weeks. Are we going to have enough time to do it 2 weeks from now?
What does 2 weeks from now put us?
The 14th of December.
14th of December. I might not actually be here because I think I'm in NYC.
The one after that will be the 21st of December.
Which is still doable.
Yeah. So I guess let's we can talk about that. We'll get that planned out. Right now, I guess I should jot a note, or I'm going to forget. Grebog needs a note so he doesn't forget things. December 21st. Tabby space build. Well, let's see. Let me look at the show notes. I remember nothing about what we've already talked about. This goes to December 5th. That'll be next week on Tuesday. We could go. We might. Right now, preliminary talk. We'll be covering Q's Winter Wonderland.
Actually, yeah, that's a really good idea. We'll cover Q's.
So we'll do that have that plan for next week. If you don't know how to do events, how to get your daily completions, we will show you how to do such things, and help you get through that. How to farm the various currency items, so that way you can get all your cosmetics. Yeah. All right. So I think that's everything for tonight.
That is everything.
Yeah, don't forget, if you'd like to support us financially, you can go to coffee.com. That's ko-fi.com/GREBOG. Also, just being here, watching, hitting thumbs up and all that fun stuff for videos is also help, and we appreciate it. Yeah, like, follow, subscribe, all that fun stuff. You can find us at twitch.com/GREBOG live on Thursdays, recording the show. And then also we do Fun Night on Mondays. Both of them start at 10 p.m. Eastern. And we try to have fun on fun nights. Granted, we try to have fun every night, but you know.
Fun night is where it's mandatory.
All right. Abby.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Have fun, be safe, and don't set yourselves on fire.
Live long and prosper, and yeah, share the love. Be friendly. Be kind. Don't be a dick. Catch you all next time.